नए वाले जर्नल कैसे आगे, आगे क्या स्कोप है, कौन से जर्नल रहेंगे, कौन से नहीं रहेंगे, और आम एक अच्छे आर्टिकल में क्या होना चाहिए, उसकी स्टार्टिंग विद द एब्स्ट्रैक्ट, बॉडी, कंक्लूजन, रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी, जो कुछ भी हमारी क्वेरीज हैं वो हम बाद में पूछ लेंगे. आई रिक्वेस्ट ऑल ऑफ यू टू राइट योर क्वेरीज इन द बॉक्स. आप सारी क्वेरीज लिख लीजिए. आफ्टर नीरज सर्च प्रेजेंटेशन विल बी आस्किंग द क्वेश्चंस वन बाय वन. वो सारे क्वेश्चंस प्लस वट एवर नीरज सर हैज टू से will I am sure that will serve a long way in solving our problems according to our careers as well as our publication. So with these request,
Sir,
Dr.
can I say 2 lines if you allow me?
Ji, sir.
I just request everyone to just switch off your video and audio, and please don't unmute yourself during presentation. It's just a request.
Please, sir. Neeraj, sir.
Thank you. Sir, आवाज आ रही है?
जी.
Okay. Let me share my screen first, and please let me know whether my screen is visible to all of you. Just a second. Manoj sir, screen is visible to all of you?
Ji sir, your desktop. Yeah.
You can see my screen?
Yeah. Make a good impression. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much, Manoj ji, for your nice introduction, and again inviting me to deliver today's talk in the webinar. And it's a great privilege for me to interact with the esteemed faculty member who are joining today's webinar. So today I am going to deliver a talk on publishing scholarly articles in a Scopus Index journal. So before I will start my today's presentation, let me share with you one news that recently I have published an article which is entitled Near Field Communication, an Alternative to RFID and Libraries. So from this slide, you can see this article is published in the journal Information Technology and Libraries. And here you can see last week it was published in the June issue 2020 of this journal. So I just wanted to tell you that this journal is Scopus Index journal, and how to check any journal which is Scopus indexed or not is, I just visited the Scopus website and searched this journal. And from here you can see this is the detail of the journal in which I have recently published my article. So the Manoj sir was saying before beginning of this session that most of the publishers or some publishers, they are claiming that if you will pay 7,000 or 8,000 rupees, then we will publish your article in a Scopus Index journal. So let me tell you one thing, that whatever any person is claiming or whatever any website is claiming, it's always better to search that journal in a Scopus website. And I will also show you how you can, double check whether any journal is Scopus Index or not. Okay, let me tell you about this journal. So you can see this journal name is there, and you can see the ISSN number of this journal also. And from here you can see that this journal Scopus has indexed from 1971. So this is almost a 50-year-old journal, and it is published by one of the topmost organization in the library field, which is known as American Library Association. Now talking about the journal citation report or Scopus journal ranking, or there is another matrix which is developed by Scopus, it's called Cite Score. So it is very much similar to the impact factor. Now here you can see the impact factor or Cite Score of this journal is 1.12. So if you see this score and if you compare this Cite Score with any science journal, you will feel that it is having a very low Cite Score as compared to science journals where the impact factor is above 50. But let me tell you one thing, I have searched all the journals in the Scopus database which are related to social science. From here you can see that I have selected all the journals which are indexed in the Scopus in the discipline social sciences, and here you can see there are total 312 journals is indexed in Scopus database in the field of social sciences. And here you can see the highest number of site score, which I just mentioned you, site score is almost equivalent to impact factor, is 5.65. And in the field of sciences, you will find an impact factor of any journal which is having more than 50 and a 60 or 65 impact factor or site score. So what here I'm trying to say is the social science journals are having very less impact factor or site score as compared to sciences. So if you compare this journal, which is having 1.12 site score, you can, say ki, oh, okay, this is a fairly good, site score journal in which I have published this article. Now, let me tell you one more thing. This is my Scopus profile, which I have, this information I have collected from the Scopus website. And here you can see, since now I have published total 11 articles in the Scopus Index journals, and the total citation I have received for all my 11 article is 137. And here you can see 128 research paper has cited my 11 paper, and I am having H index of 3. So what I am here trying to say is publishing your research article in a Scopus Index journal is not a very big task. But one should know, being a faculty member, how you can publish your research article in a Scopus Index journal. So in today's lecture, whatever I'm having experience and knowledge about publishing my research paper in Scopus Index journal, I'm going to share with you. So talking about the outline of my today's presentation, I will discuss in brief what is scientific journals, what is India's contribution in the scientific publication, what are the process of publishing an article in a high impact factor journals. And I will also tell you, once you will submit your article for publishing in any journal, what are the criteria for evaluation of your article. Because I am associated with topmost publisher as a reviewer, so I can also share my experience that whenever any research scholar submit his or her research paper in any Scopus Index journal, how Scopus basically evaluate any article. So from reviewer's point of view, I will tell you each and every criteria through which your article is basically reviewed. And then once you will publish your article, so it's now mandatory, or it's very much necessary for the faculty and research scholar that you must share and promote your research. And once you will share and promote your research work, you will receive a high impact factor. So I will also tell you what are the various sources through which you can check the citation and the H index of your published paper. Now let me start with the brief history of scientific journals. Now the question is, what is basically a scientific journal? So scientific journal is a platform which provide research scholar a scholarly platform in which they can publish their research finding. So if you see the history of scientific journals, the first journal was published in the year 1665, and that was French journal, and the name of the journal was Journal des Sçavans. So this is the first page of this French journal. And in the same year, the first English language journal, which was known as Philosophical Transaction of the Royal Society, was published. Since now there is a huge number of increase as far as publishing journals are concerned from all over the world. And as per this Ulrich International Periodical Directory, now this is the only source which tells faculty member and the institution what are the journals available in different disciplines which are published across the world. So this is the only source which lists all the index journals which is being published throughout the world. And as per this directory, you can see there are 2.5 lakh journals published all over the world. And this data I have taken from the last year of this directory. So in the year 2019, this directory has listed 2,46,300 scientific journals. Now, there is a one study which was conducted by Outshell. It is also available on the internet. And you can just see from this study, he has estimated the total global market of science and technology journal in 2017 was $25.7 billion. So you can just imagine how big is this publishing industry. Now, talking about where India stands in terms of publishing research paper. So this data is basically compiled by the US National Scientific Foundation and which was published by Press Trust of India in its website on January 2, 2020. And the same study was published by India Today. So here you can see the title of this study was India is world third largest producer of scientific articles following China and US. So here you can see the total number of scientific paper published worldwide increased from 17,55,850 in 2008 to 25,55,955 in 2009. So when you see the contribution of China to the worldwide publication. So in this study, it is clearly reflected through this graph that China is standing at the number one position, and China has published so far 5,28,263 research paper, and China is sharing 20.67% of total world output of scientific articles. United States at the second position, and here you can see India is at the third position, and India has published 1,35,788 research paper, and India is sharing 5.31 global share of total publication. So in this study, it was highlighted that between 2008 to 2018, science and engineering articles from India grew at an average annual rate of nearly 11%. And in 2018, India encountered for 5.31% of global share of science and engineering article as compared to 2% in 2008. So during this last 10 years, India has seen a growth of nearly 3% annually as far as producing scientific article is concerned. But in this study, it was also highlighted that India is growing in terms of producing more number of research paper. But when we talk about the quality, India's quality of scientific research paper is far behind than US, China, and other European countries. And in this study, it was also highlighted that high impact factor journal accept less than 10% of the articles submitted to them. So you can see the percentage of acceptance in a high impact factor journal or Scopus index journal is less than 10%. That means whatever article research scholar or faculty member they submit for publication in a Scopus index or high impact factor journal are basically rejected, and the rejection rate is almost 90%. So this is the source from where I have collected the data. So you can, if you are interested to reading more about this report, you can visit the source. Now, here I have mentioned the term high impact factor journal. Now, what is basically an impact factor? So from this slide, I will try to explain you what is basically impact factor and how it is being calculated. So the concept of impact factor was basically given by Sir Eugene Garfield, who was the founder of Institute of Scientific Information, Philadelphia. And he has given this concept in the year 1960. And since then, impact factor is used as a criteria for checking the quality of any research journal. Now the question is how we can calculate impact factor of any journal. So from this calculation, I will try to explain you how basically journal impact factor is calculated. Now, for example, calculation of journal impact factor here, let's say the journal name is Journal X for the year 2017. So for example, if we wanted to calculate impact factor of Journal X for the year 2017, So how we can calculate is total number of articles published in Journal X in the year 2015 plus total number of articles published in the same journal in 2016. For example, here in this journal in 2015, total article was published 46, and in 2016, the total number of article was published 50. So when you combine these two values, it will come to 96. Now, what you have to do is total number of citations received by total number of article published in 2015. So when we calculate total number of citation of all the 46 article, and let's suppose the total number of citation is 109 in 2015, and total number of citation of all the 50 article, for example, here is 105. So you just combine the total number of citation received in 2015 and 16, and the value is 214. So what you have to do is you just divide total number of citation received in this journal in the year 2015 and 16 divided by the total number of article published during the last 2 years. So whatever number will come, this is basically is the impact factor of this journal. So in this case, the impact factor of this journal is 2.229. So this is the simplest way to explain you how the journal impact factor is basically calculated. Now, the next thing is how we can publish, or what is the basically process of publishing an article in a quality journal, or you can say in a Scopus Index journal or a high impact factor journal. First thing is you write your research article, then find a suitable journal for your article, prepare your paper according to the journal which you have selected, submit and revise, and the next is sharing and promoting. Now I will explain you each and every step so that it will make you clear what is the actual process of publishing any article in a Scopus Index journal. And let me tell you, you can publish a very ordinary article in a Scopus Index journal if you know the correct process of publishing any article. Now let me explain you. Now the first thing is,
Neeraj, just a minute. To all the participants, for all the participants, please, we will be sending a feedback pro forma at the end of this session. Please fill that pro forma to get your certificates. Please.
नीरज जी, आप वो हाइड दबा सकते हो, जहाँ स्टॉप शेयरिंग आ रहा है ना लिखा हुआ, उसके साइड में हाइड है, उसको आप दबा दीजिए, ये चला जाएगा.
Okay, sir, okay.
And for the certificates, please fill that pro forma, feedback pro forma. वो लास्ट में आपके साथ शेयर कर देंगे. जी नीरज.
So should I continue?
जी please.
Okay. Now, how to write a good research paper? And let me tell you, whatever I am explaining to you, it's totally based on my knowledge and personal experience. So first thing is, you just decide the topic in which you wanted to publish your article. So once you decided your topic in which you wanted to publish your research paper, the next and very much important thing is search and research the literature. Now in the colleges, there is one limitation that you will not having access of Scopus or any good, scientific databases. But let me tell you, there are many open source databases are available, which will help you in terms of searching a very relevant article for your research topic. And I will request you that whatever article or whatever topic you have selected for your research paper, do not try to search your article in a Google search engine, because Google is basically a journal search engine and it will not give you this quality scientific article for your literature search purpose. So what you can do is, if your college or your university is having access of Web of Science or Scopus, I think these two databases are world famous databases for searching any literature published in the top quality journals on your identified area. But if your college or institution is not having access of Web of Science or Scopus, in this case, what you can do is you start searching your article on a Google Scholar, right? And there is another website, it's called Oyster. Oyster provides you millions of scientific quality journal article in an open access platform. And from here, you can download the free full text article which is published in a top quality journals. So first thing is you try to search your article on Google Scholar or the Oyster search engine. So this is a screenshot of Oyster. You simply Google and type Oyster. It will take you to the home page of this website, and you simply type any topic in which you wanted to find any article, and here you can see all the article you can download from here. And if you belongs to medical science field, I think for in this field, PubMed is one of the best database for searching a scientific literature in any topic related to medical science. There is another database, it's called BASE, B-A-S-E. It's again a scholarly database similar to Google Scholar, which will provide you the complete open access articles for your research work. So you simply type BASE in a Google and it will take you to the home page where you can search the millions of articles. And another database for searching the literature is Microsoft Academic Search. Microsoft Academic Search is very much similar to Google Scholar, but it will provide you the top quality access of articles which is published in Scopus Index and Web of Science Index journals free of cost. And here you can see this is the statistics given on Microsoft Academic website, and here you can see there are billions articles and author indexed articles you will find free of cost using this search engine. So first thing is, whenever you are searching a literature, don't try to search literature on Google. Instead of using Google, you can use these databases for searching your literature. Now, once you are done with searching the literature, the next part is writing the introduction of your research paper. And let me tell you, this is the introduction of my research paper. And here you can see I have just explained the introduction in 2 paragraphs, because it clearly says that your introduction should not be a history lesson and it should be maximum half page or 1 page. So in your introduction part, what the publisher or what the reviewer basically they wanted to see is, an introduction is the initial part of a research paper and the part that a reader is likely to read first. So in the introduction part, what we generally do, we introduce our research topic to the reader so that he has a full clarity about the topic in which you are writing a research paper. So hence in the introduction part, what you can include is definition from some standard sources, any notation or some other important information required for understanding your paper. So you can introduce your topic, create some context and background, tell your reader about the research you plan to carry out, state your rationale and explain why your research is important, and state your objective or hypothesis, if any. So generally, there is no need to write objective and a hypothesis as a separate subheading. What you can do is you can incorporate your objective and a hypothesis in your introduction part. So your introduction must be a very brief and it should be in a maximum half page or one page length. Now, the next thing is writing the objectives of your paper. Now, from this slide, you can see why we write objectives of our paper, because objective gives direction to the paper and objectives help to avoid any diversion from the topic. Research objectives minimize wastage of time. So if you have a clear-cut 4 or 5 objectives for your research papers, so you will always try to focus writing your research paper in that particular objectives only. So it helps you so that you can't deviate for beyond your objectives which you have selected, and objectives easy to understanding for the research by the target audience. So while writing the objective of any research, the following should be kept in mind. There should be one main aim of the research and not more than 5 to 6 underlying objectives. So if there are too many objectives of a research, there are fair chances of data overload and data mismanagement, making the study goes vague and ambiguous. So if you write more than 5 or 6 objectives, so it will take lots of time to compile the data, and your length of your paper will be increased, and you will ultimately lose, you know, the focus of your research paper. So always try to identify one area where you can give 5 or 6 objectives for your research paper. And here, let me give you one example. Here, this author has given objectives in the form of question, which he asked while writing the paper. So here you can see the question that were tried to be found as answer were as follows. So you can also write the objective in the form of question here. So always write 4 or 5 clear objectives in your research paper after writing the introduction part. Now, writing your literature review. So as I mentioned earlier, that once you will select these databases for searching the literature, then you will find plenty of research material for your article. But while writing a literature review, we have to identify 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 literature review which are very much relevant to your objectives and the area which you have selected for writing your research paper. So always be selective. You always select only those articles which is directly associated to the research problem which you have taken. Use evidence. Always give a proper citation to the research articles which you have incorporated in your research paper. Always use quotes. So if you are taking something as it is from the already published literature in your literature review part, always put the same sentences in a quotation mark. And whenever you are summarizing and synthesizing, you try to incorporate objectives, methodology, findings, and conclusion of your research paper. For example, if you wanted to take my research paper in your research, in your literature review part, so just read what objectives I have written, what methodology I have followed, what are the significant findings of my paper, and what is the conclusion of my paper. So the structure of literature review for writing any research article is try to cover the objectives, methodology, findings, and the conclusion of the paper of the article which you wanted to incorporate in your literature review part. And you also know how to paraphrase. What is paraphrasing? Rewriting someone else's work. So in the literature review, if you take the sentences or ideas or paragraph as it is, then it will give you a high level of similarity or plagiarism when you check. So what you can do is rewrite the objective, methodology, and finding and conclusion part in your literature review. Organize your literature. So you can always organize your literature review either chronologically, or you can divide your articles which you have selected for literature review according to various categories and subcategories. So this is about writing your literature review. The next and very much important thing is writing your research methodology, because when you submit your research paper, first and very important thing which reviewer see in any research paper is how clearly research scholar or faculty has explained the research methodology part. So what is basically a research methodology? It is basically science of studying how research is done scientifically. So in this section should be detailed enough that reader can replicate your research and assess whether the methods justify the conclusion. So your methodology should be very much clear so that if any other research scholar, he or she wanted to replicate the same study which you have conducted in some other area, he can do this thing while reading your research methodology. And your research methodology should be very much clear. So if any person wanted to check or cross-check the conclusion or result part of your research, and if he or she has the data, she can easily, double check the conclusion and result part of your research. Ultimately, while writing your research methodology, you explaining how you done the study, how you have identified the problem, what are the procedures you have followed while collecting the data, what methodology you have adopted while selecting the sampling, and the structure of this information logically in your research methodology part. And you have to also mention the statistical tool if you have used, and if any test like chi-square test or any other test you have, uh, adopted while doing or while analyzing your research data. So whatever tools, whatever test you have applied while writing your research paper, you have to mention each and everything in your research methodology part. So this research methodology, generally we give term in a social science discipline, but in the science discipline, it is basically known as methods and material. It is almost the same thing. And in this methods and material, basically you tell your user what materials and what methods or experiment you have conducted while writing your research paper. So this is the example of writing the research methodology, and this is the example of writing the materials and method parts. So you can, always download any research paper which is published in quality journals, and you can see how that faculty or research scholar has clearly explained this research methodology or materials and methods part in his or her research work. Now, once you have explained the research methodology and you have done the data analysis part, the next portion of your research paper should be result part. And what is the result part of your research paper? Result section, including any figures and tables, are some of the most important part of the manuscript. So here, whatever data you have compiled or whatever interpretation you wanted to tell to your reader, so basically in this region, what we do, we present our data in the form of figures and tables. So in this result section, present your findings objectively, explaining them largely in text. It's where you show how your result contributing to the body of scientific knowledge. So be clear and logical and emphasize any significant findings clearly. So here basically you present your data in tables and figures and you explain the data. So you try to explain your data keeping in view the objectives which you have written in the introduction part, so that it is correlated with your objectives. And if you have found something very unique in your research findings, always explain these significant findings clearly in your research area. The next part of your research manuscript is discussion and conclusion. So in this section, authors should interpret the result and place them in the context of previous findings and explain what they mean for future research, as well as far as possible, real life applications. So in this discussion and conclusion part, what we generally do, we try to correlate our result with the existing literature review which you have done in your manuscript portion earlier. So here you try to correlate all your results with the research articles which you have incorporated in your literature review part. And you should link this section back to the introduction, referring to your questions or hypothesis, and cover how the results relate to your expectation and cited sources. So here, if you have framed any hypothesis, in this discussion and conclusion part, you can tell your reader whether your hypothesis is accepted or rejected. So you have to correlate this discussion and conclusion part with your literature search and with your objectives and your hypothesis portion. Now, once you have done with writing your research paper, then the next important thing is writing a suitable title for your research paper. Generally, what we do, we first write the topic of our research paper, then we start writing our manuscript. But the best process is, first you finish writing your research paper, then read your research paper, and then accordingly you select or write the exact title of your research paper. So the title and abstract are incredibly very much important component of a manuscript, as they are the first element a journal editor see. Now let me tell you one thing, even while selecting any research article for your literature review, we select or reject any article based on the abstract. So your abstract is a very important part of your research paper, through which any reader or editor basically accept or reject your paper. You should be very careful while writing the title and abstract your paper. And the title should summarize the main theme of the article and reflect your contribution to the theory. Now let me tell you one of the best example of writing abstract of any research paper. So this is the example I have taken from the Emerald publisher. And as you must be knowing that Emerald is a leading publisher in the field of management. So if you publish any article in more than 500 Emerald management papers, so this is the structured format of writing the abstract of your research paper. And here you can see the first thing which you have to write in your abstract part is what is the purpose of your paper. And after writing the purpose, explain in 2 or 3 lines the research methodology part of your research paper. Then highlight the significant finding of your research. And you have to also explain, is there any research limitations or implications of your current study? Is there any practical implications of your research paper? Is there any social implication of your research paper? And at the end, you have to write what is the USP or what is the uniqueness or novelty of your research paper. So if you are writing abstract in this structured format, it will always give a very good impression to the reader as well as to the editor to select or reject your research paper at the first instance. So I will request you, whenever you are writing abstract, always follow this structure of writing abstract, and you can see or you can download any abstract of the article which is published on Emerald Management Database. Now, once you have done with writing your manuscript, like you have started with writing introduction, then literature review, then research methodology, and result, conclusion, title, and abstract. Now, next and very much important thing is finding the right journal for your research article, because as I mentioned in my first slide, there are more than 250,000 journals which are published throughout the world. So you should be very much careful in selecting the right journal for your research paper. And if unfortunately you have selected the wrong journal for your research paper, you will literally waste 3 to 4 weeks, for just getting a feedback from the editor that your article does not fail to the aim and objectives of our research paper. So in this way, if you have selected the wrong journal, you will waste your 3 or 4 weeks, to get the reply from any editor. Now here I will ask one question from anyone from you. What practice generally you follow in terms of finding a suitable journal for your research article? Anyone from you? If you can share your...
Just unmute and speak.
Sir, we actually go through first of all, if I have to publish any article on happiness or positivity, so I go through the title of the journal, and then
Okay.
I see it in the UGC website whether it is there in the list or not. So
Okay.
I have a question to ask you here, sir. Like you talked about Scopus and Web of Science. So
Yes.
does Scopus and Web of Science gives impact factor to be determined as per Thomson Reuters list?
Yes, ma'am. I think coming to your question,
Yes.
how you can find whether any journal is Scopus Index or Web of Science Index or not. So once I will complete my presentation, I will show you even in the UGC CARE list, there is a provision where you can browse all the journals indexed by Scopus and Web of Science. And let me tell you one thing, all the journals which are indexed in these two databases, they are part of the UGC CARE list. So if you are publishing your research paper in any Scopus index journals, there is no need to cross-check in UGC CARE list journal, because all these journals are indexed by UGC CARE list journal.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, now let me explain you what are the tools available for the faculty and research scholar in terms of finding the right journal for your research paper. Now, first thing is, now many publishers, they have developed their artificial intelligence tools which suggest research scholar to identify a suitable journal for their research paper. Now let me explain you. This is a tool which is known as Elsevier Journal Finder, and this tool helps you to identify all the Elsevier published journal for your research article. So how you can use this tool is simply you go to the Google and type Elsevier Journal Finder. So when you will type Elsevier Journal Finder, it will take you to the home page of Elsevier Journal Finder, and this is the screenshot of this website. So what you have to do is you just enter the title of your research paper and the abstract of your research paper. Just type the significant keyword, and here you just select the field of research, because means whether it's belong to management, social sciences, sciences, applied sciences, and here you will find a drop down menu. What you have to do is you just select the area of discipline in which you wanted to publish. And let me show you, there is a one example. This is one of my paper which I wanted to publish earlier with any Elsevier journal, and I have used this tool. So what I did is I just copy the title of my research paper and the abstract. I have written the significant keyword and I have just select the social science area. And here this journal suggester will tell you what are the journals available which are having high percentage of acceptance for your research article. And here you can see, because in the field of library science, there are very few journals which are published by the Elsevier journal. That is why it is showing only 3 journals, and here you can see the acceptance rate. So this software is basically telling you if you wanted to publish your research article, the acceptance rate is only 18%, and it will take almost 4 weeks to publish your article, and now 4 weeks to give you first decision, and once your paper will be provisionally accepted, then it will again take 3 weeks to publish your paper. So if you wanted to publish your article in this journal, overall it will take 7 weeks to publish your journal. And here you can see the impact factor of this journal, the CITE score. Here you can see there is another journal which is having 26% acceptance rate, and the impact factor journal is low as compared to this one. And here you can see there the third journal is showing 14% acceptance. So these tools are very much helpful in terms of identifying the suitable journals. But here this tool will only work if you wanted to publish your research paper with Elsevier publisher. So you can always check these tools for finding a very suitable journal for your research paper, and these tools are available free of cost for the researcher. Now this is about the Elsevier field. If you are interested in publishing your research article in Wiley Publishers, so Wiley has also developed a similar kind of tool which is known as Wiley Journal Finder. The same thing you have to do, you just copy title and author, title and abstract, and depending upon the title and abstract, it will give you the list of journals where you can publish your paper. And here it will also give you whether this journal is an open access journal or is a closed access journal. So these tools are very much helpful in terms of identifying the journal. Springer, if you are interested in publishing in Springer journal, just go to the Google and just type Springer Journal Finder. The same thing you have to repeat, and you will find the list of journals. Now if you are not interested in publishing your article in any specific publisher, and you just wanted to see what are the journals available on my area which will give me a list of possible potential journal where I can publish my research paper. So this is one of the best tool which is being used by the top researcher all over the world. It's called EDANS. So you just type this EDA and Z journal selector. It will take you to this home page. You just copy the title and abstract, and here it will give you all the details of the journal where you can publish your research paper. It will give you impact factor, 5-year impact factor, and the time it will take to publish your journal. And specifically in sciences, sometimes there is a mandatory condition that your journals should be SCI index journals. So here you can also find this detail whether this journal is SCI indexed or not. So these are some of the tools. Another tool is called EndNote Match. It's again free tool. You just download from the Google, copy the title, paste the abstract, and it will give you the list of journals in which you can publish your research paper. Now this is the screenshot. I have used this EndNote, and here you can see these are the list of journals where I can publish my research paper, and this is the impact factor, and this is the probability, in terms of percentage of acceptance of my research paper. Now, once you have identified the journal using these tools for your research paper, the next and very much important thing is you have to prepare, you have to format and structure your research paper according to that particular journal template. Now, for example, if you wanted to publish your research article with IEEE, so this is the format of presenting your research paper, that it should be a Times New Roman, and it should be a 2-column, the name of the author. First, you have to write first name of the author, and all these instructions you will find on the journal website. And there is one study conducted by the Elsevier, and which is saying that most of the journals, they are rejected by the publishers because they are not structured and formatted as per the journal guidelines. Because simply what we do, we select the journal, and whatever format or whatever style in which we have written the article, we submit as it is to the publisher. So if you are doing so, you will receive a desk rejection from the editor, and the reason will be that your paper is not structured as per the guideline of that particular journal. So you always go to the journal homepage and see what are the guidelines they have given for preparing the formatting your manuscript as per their style. So always arrange your paper in that particular style so that it will have a highest chance of acceptance of your research paper. Now, there are another study which says that most of the research paper, they are rejected because of the poor English language. And one of the main reason is there are so many grammatical mistakes, specifically from the researcher from developing country. And this is the reason why we do not publish our research paper in a Scopus Index journal. Now, let me tell you, there are many sophisticated tools are available, which are freely available over the internet, which you can use for improving the quality of your language. For example, Grammarly is the best software. Grammarly is basically subscription-based software, but they are also providing its demo version, and this demo version has certain limitations. But you can use this demo version where you can check the English language of your research paper, and you can check it paragraph wise, because in a demo version there is a limitation, you can't upload your full paper. So you can use this grammar check, after a deadline, and Hemingway editor. So these tools will definitely assist you for improving your language, but let me tell you, don't rely 100% on these tools, because they are, based on some algorithm, and you can't say that these are 100% accurate tool. But one thing is very much sure, that it will definitely help you in terms of improving the language of your paper. And one more thing, before submitting your research paper in any Scopus Index journal, if you know someone who is very good in in English language, so there is no harm to check your language, to check your grammatical mistake or English language, and sending your research paper to that particular expert. Because we don't want that whatever hard work we have done or whatever efforts we have put while writing our research paper, it got rejected because of poor language. So you either use these tools or take a help of someone who is having command in over the English language. Now, once you are done with doing this language checking, the next thing is, before sending your research paper to any journal, you check the plagiarism of that research paper. And before checking the plagiarism, these are some of the ways through which you can avoid the plagiarism. And what are these ways? Always give a reference to all the research paper from where you have not only taken the idea, but also the text. So whatever research paper you have consulted, whatever idea you have taken, or whatever text you have taken from the already published sources, always give credit to that particular author in your reference page, and always follow the citation style while arranging your reference, because different journals, they are following different citation style. So what you have to do is you check the guidelines for the author and see which type of citation style the publisher is following or the journal is following, and you arrange all your references according to that particular citation style. And now sometime mistakenly or by ignorance, what we do, we give only references to the ideas and text which we have borrowed, but we do not give reference for the photographs, diagrams, pictures, graphs, or maps which we have taken from some other sources. So if you are taking any these materials from Google or any other website, always give proper citation to these type of documents also. And you know how to paraphrase. You know, there is a no harm if you are rewriting, you know, any paragraph in your own words, but while doing the paraphrasing, always give reference to the original article from where you have borrowed the text or idea. Always use quotations. So if you are writing definition or any significant finding as it is, always give that particular sentence in the quotation mark and give in-text citation after completing your that particular definition or sentences. So these are some of the ways through which you can avoid plagiarism. And check your research paper before submitting to any editor. And when you check your research paper, as per the UGC guidelines, your research paper must have a similarity of less than 10%. So if your paper is showing higher percentage of similarity, you always modify your paper and recheck your paper and try to come down in your level of similarity below 10%, so that it will got chances of acceptance. And once you are done with checking your research paper, you always submit the report of your research paper along with your original manuscript. So this will immediately give first impression that your paper is not plagiarized and it is having less than 10% similarity. So this will always give you, high chances of acceptance of your research paper. Now, one and very most important thing is adding research data along with your research paper. Now, in the field of medical sciences, there is one journal which is called PLOS One, and there are many reputed journals also where they say that whenever you submit your original paper, you also share the Excel file where you have entered the raw data, the calculations, the SPSS software or any other statistical software you have used, and you have, generated the figure or diagram using these tools. So these data is called as raw data. So now it is mandatory by some of the publisher or the journal that you have to submit a raw data along with your manuscript, so that it will give authenticity of your research findings which you have written in your research paper. So sometime the publisher or the research, the editor, they cross-check your research findings with the raw data which you have submitted, because there are many cases where the faculty or research scholar, they have borrowed the data from already published literature and they have presented that this is their own data. So to avoid this data manipulation, data fabrication, now the publishers, they are asking from the research scholar, you submit the Excel file where you have entered and where you have tabulated your data while compiling your results. So you can always submit your Excel data or raw field or raw data along with your original manuscript. This is called the research data. Now, one most important thing is, generally we don't know importance of writing a good cover letter to the editor when you first time submit your manuscript. Now let me share you some of my personal experiences where I have just submitted my research paper to the editor, and editor in a straight way, he has rejected my paper. So this example I am giving you for the latest paper which I have published in Scopus Index Journals. So this is, I think it's not visible properly, but let me explain you this thing. This is the first email which I have written to the editor that I wanted to publish my research paper in your journal, and the editor within 2 days he just rejected my paper. Then I have resubmitted my research paper along with cover note, and here you can see the reply which I have received from the editor that thank you for your cover note and for prompting me to take a second look at your submission, and I have done so, and I agree that I was too hasty in my original decision. I have begun the peer review process with journal tales, and it will take 4 to 5 weeks to give you our first decision. So what I'm here trying to explain you, when I submitted my paper, straight away editor has rejected, but the same paper I have submitted along with a good cover note, that I have got the acceptance from the same paper. And this is the reply which I have received from the editor, that they have provisionally accepted my paper, but I have to do certain modification before I wanted to publish my research paper. So I just wanted to tell you to always write a good cover letter in which you mention why you wanted to publish your research paper in that particular journal only, and you highlight the USP of your research paper. And if you are writing a good cover note, it will always give you a benefit or advantage of publishing your research paper in Scopus Index Journal. Now let me explain you, once you will submit your research paper, on what criteria reviewer basically accept or reject your research paper. And this is, again, I am sharing with you with my personal experience. Now, before I will tell you the criteria for evaluation of any research article, let me explain you what is basically a peer review. Peer review is a process where your paper is being reviewed by the subject expert. Now, there are different type of peer review. First, if it is a single blind peer review, in this means name of the reviewer are hidden from the author. Means the author, he will not come to know about the name of the reviewer, but the reviewer, they will know who is the author of this research paper. But again, if it is a single blind review process, here the reviewer, they can show some biasness, because if reviewer, they are known to some faculty or research scholar, they must have a bias towards accepting the research paper. So most of the Scopus Index journals, they are following double blind peer review process, where both reviewer and author are anonymous to each other. The author, they don't have any idea about who is the reviewer, and the reviewer, they don't have any idea who has actually written this paper. And another type of peer review process is open, where both reviewer and author are known to each other during the peer review process. Now again, before starting my lecture, Manu sir was saying, now sometimes the research scholar or the faculty member, they also have some confusion regarding what is the difference between a national and international journal, because commonly the journal they write, this journal is an international journal, but how you can check whether that particular journal is an international journal or not? So the first and very much important criteria for knowing any journal is an international journal, first see if the article is submitted by the research scholar from all part of the world. If that journal is publishing the research article submitted by the research scholar across the world, this is the one criteria through which you can check that journal is international. And you can also see whether the journal editorial board is comprising the member of the editorial board from the different countries, and whether that journal has a circulation all over the world. So if any journal is published by SAGE, that journal is international, because SAGE journal is accessible across the world. But talking about the national journal always report or always publish such article which address the local type of problem and where most of the authors, they belongs to the same country. So this is the basic criteria through which you can check whether any journal is a national or index or international journal or not. Now another thing Manu sir was saying, how to check whether journal is an index journal or not, because now there are many fake journals which claim that we are a Scopus index journal, we are Web of Science index journal. So don't rely on the claim which they are making in their website. Always check that journal in Scopus or Web of Science and double check whether Scopus is giving list of that particular journal or not. I will show you how you can check whether any journal is Scopus index or not. Now let me explain you, once you will submit your article, what are the criteria reviewers they are following. From here you can see the first and very much important criteria is the paper is having any original value. So the reviewer, they have to give the comment on this criteria where they have to justify, does the paper contain new and significant information adequate to justify publication. If in your paper there is some originality, there is some USP, then you will get marks for this originality. Then the relationship to the literature. Here they also wanted to see what good quality research article you have incorporated in your literature review part, and whether you have included a relevant article in your literature review part or not, and how you have written literature review of already published material. So next thing is relationship to the literature. Does the paper demonstrate an adequate understanding of the relevant literature in the field and cite an appropriate range of literature sources? Is any significant work ignored? So in your methodology, if you are writing that while searching literature review, you have searched the article using Scopus database, so this will give you an upper edge that if you have used Scopus database, so there are very less chance where you can ignore some important work to include in your literature review part. The next thing is methodology. As I told you earlier, that you should be a very much expressive and clear cut while writing your methodology, so that it can be replicated by any other user, and through this methodology anyone can double check or cross check your result and conclusion part. The next thing is how you have presented the result. Are results presented clearly and analyzed appropriately? Do the conclusion adequately tie together with the other element of the paper? So whenever we are writing conclusion, we have to write the conclusion based on the research findings or the objectives or hypothesis which we have taken in the starting of your research paper. So if your conclusion is not tying up, is not related with that part, you will get very less marks for this. And implications for research. Is there any practical implication or social implication of your research paper in your field or not? And quality of communication. So if your research paper is having good quality English language and is there any less grammatical mistake, so you will get a point for this. So generally based on these 5 or 6 criteria, reviewer give their recommendation for acceptance, minor revision, major revision, or reject. So once you will receive a comment from your reviewer, then the next thing is address reviewer comments very carefully. Now let me explain you. This is one page of my article which I have mentioned in my first slide, and here you can see I have written just one paragraph, and the reviewer has asked me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions related to this portion only. And when I click here, so it will highlight the reviewer comment here, and I have to justify what reviewer has asked me in this line. So here he's just asked me how you are claiming that NFC device provides 848 kilobyte per second speed. So this is the objection raised by the reviewer, and here I have to make changes, and here in the reply box I have to mention that on the basis of this fact and figure I am claiming that it is having 848 kilobytes per second speed. So likewise, you have to read the reviewer comment very carefully, and accordingly you have to resolve and reply the address reviewer comments very carefully. So once you are done with analyzing reviewer comment and justifying, your work to the reviewer, then again you resubmit for the, revision or relook by the reviewer again. And then once they are satisfied with your comment, they will give final acceptance for your paper. Now, the next thing is, once you have published your research paper and your research paper is published in any journal, next and very much important thing is, now your duties now is to promote and share your research work. Now, there is one study which says there are more than 1 million scientific articles are published each year. That number is writing. So if you are making your research paper in an open access platform, and if you have published a quality research in Scopus Index journals, and your paper is accessible to the reader across the world, you will always give high citation, because there are many studies where it was found that open access article received higher number of citation. So now, through promoting and sharing your research, what you can do is, you can upload your research paper, you can index your research paper in Google Scholar, or you can upload your research paper in ResearchGate platform. But always be very careful while making your research paper in open access journal. I have seen many faculty and research scholars, before checking the copyright policy of the publisher, they just upload their research paper in a ResearchGate platform. And that is and if you are uploading your research paper without checking the copyright policy of the publisher in any open access platform, that is 100% violation of copyright, and you will be in a trouble if someone write to the editor or to the publisher that your published research work is now available in open access platform. Now, the thing is, how we can check the publisher copyright policy. And let me tell you, there is one website, it's called Sherpa and Romeo. It's an open access website. You just simply type on the Google, name the ISSN of the journal or the title of the journal, and here it will tell you what type of permission publisher is giving you in terms of making your research work in an open access platform. Now here, let me explain you the copyright condition of the Nature journal. Nature is one of the most reputed and topmost journal in the field of medical sciences. So when you publish your research paper in a Nature journal, so here Nature copyright policy is saying author cannot archive publisher version. So clear-cut Nature is telling you that if you upload the Nature, your article which you have published in Nature journal in any open access platform, that will be a violation of copyright. But Nature is allowing you can upload your research paper in any open access platform, but that paper should be preprint version of your research paper. So there are two versions of any research paper, preprint and postprint. What is preprint? When you first time submit your research paper to the editor. So that preprint right is always belong to the author. And what is postprint? Because when you submit your research paper to any editor, then editor come into the picture, and then reviewer give their comment, and accordingly you have to revise. Then once it is published, it become postprint of your research article. So Nature does not allow you to upload postprint version of your article, but you can upload the preprint version in any open access platform. So these are some of the platform, like you can upload your research paper in open access, and if it is accessible through ResearchGate, then the reader, the user or the research scholar from all over the world, they can download your paper, and you will start receiving citation for your research paper. Now, once you have done the promotion of your research work, the next thing is how to measure the citation or impact factor or IH index of any research paper. So these are some of the metrics through which you can measure the impact of your research paper, like journal metric, author metric, article metric, and alt metric. Now H index, This you can do by using the Scopus. And what is H index here? At H index, this professor Bipin Bhatnagar of our university is having H index 109. And here you can see this author has published total number of 1200 papers. So out of 1200 papers, there are 109 papers which have received 109 citations. Let me explain you one more again, that this author has published 1200 paper which is indexed in Scopus, and all the 1200 paper has received 70,000 citations. 70,000 citation is a very huge number. So H index 109 means out of 1200 there are at least 109 papers which has received at least 109 citation. So when this number is matching, that is called H index of any author. Microsoft Academic is also providing, this is a free citation database. It's also providing H index. Like for example, I've just searched B.S. Ghumman, who's the Vice Chancellor of Punjab University. So here in this database, you can see how much citation and H index this professor is receiving. Google Scholar is providing you the I-10 index, and it's freely available for Research Scholar. So whatever article you have published in open access journal, you just try to search on Google Scholar. You can create your own profile while using your Gmail login ID and password. And then Google Scholar will create a citation page of your research paper. And from here, you can see how much research paper and the citation you have received. From here, you can see I've received 176 citation of all my research paper, which is indexed by Google Scholar. And Google Scholar is showing H index 8, and I have I-10 index of 6. Means out of the total 22 paper, there are 6 paper which have received at least 10 citation. So this is called I-10 index. So where my paper has been cited at least 10 times. There's another calculation, G index. So these are some of the author level metrics through which you can check the H index of any research paper. There is another concept of alt metrics. Now, most of the research scholar, they share your research paper in a Facebook or a Twitter or in their blog. So there is one website, it's called Dimension, which gives you the details of all your research paper citations and the alt metrics. So here you can see the alt metrics number is 77. So this is the details, means how many research scholar have tweeted my paper, how many research scholar they have shared my paper through Facebook. So this is another metric through which you can measure what is impact your research is making on a social media. And these metrics you can always present whenever you are appearing for interview or for your promotion, that these are the number of research paper I have published in quality journals. This is the H index of my paper. This is the I-10 index of my paper, and this is the altmetric impact of my paper. So this will give you a detailed information, like if any paper is having 83 altmetrics, means how many have tweeted, how many have blogged, how many have shared your paper using social media. So this is all about my presentation. And if you have any query or if you wanted to ask me anything, you can feel free to ask me anything related to my presentation. So thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. It has cleared a lot of doubts which were going on in my mind. Thank you so much, sir. It was really very informative. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Manoj, if there are some questions.
I'll just read some of the questions. One question is asked by Abhilasha. Sir, when I look at the search engines, or we always find part of the papers are not available. So we cannot know whether the material or paper is relevant or not. How to deal with that? Generally, they are not available.
Okay, so in my slide also I have mentioned that these are some of the tools. Like if you are searching any paper on Oyster, if you're searching any paper on Base or this Microsoft Academic Search Engine, it will give you free access, and all the articles which are indexed by these databases are very much qualitative article. So if your institution is not having access of Scopus or Web of Science, then you can use these platform and it will give you quality articles and full text article related to your research area.
Right, sir. There is another question by Prachi. She says when we are using Grammarly to check our grammar, and there, so isn't a kind of plagiarism? She says.
No. There is no kind of plagiarism, because Grammarly basically helps you in terms of improving the language part of your paper. So as I mentioned earlier, basically it's a paid software, but demo version are available for 1 month. You can download this Grammarly, and you can even integrate this Grammarly with your MS Word. And whenever you write a wrong form of your paper, it will give you some hint. So there is no case, there is no question. If you will use Grammarly, it will leads to plagiarism.
Sir, another question by Dr. Madhumita is, please specify the difference between peer-reviewed and refereed journal.
Okay, peer-reviewed and refereed both are the same thing, because sometimes the reviewer, they are known as refereed. So some journals they call as refereed journal and some call as peer-reviewed journal. But the meaning of both the journal is almost the same thing.
Sumita Kumari asks, is it safe to give our raw data to the journals?
It's always safe, and let me tell you, if you will submit the raw data along with your original manuscript, the publisher will assign you a DOI not only for your article but for your raw data also. So your raw data will be accessible openly, and if any research scholar, they wanted to take your raw data and they wanted to write any research paper, they will give data citation to your raw data. So in this way, you will not receive the citation for your research article, you will also receive a citation of your raw data. Even in Scopus also, now the Elsevier, they are in the process of developing a data citation tool where the research scholar, they can upload their raw data, and if anyone will cite the raw data, they will give citation to that raw data also. So if you can submit your raw data along with your manuscript, that will be wonderful, and you will start receiving citation for your raw data also.
Sir, excuse me, sir, I have a question.
Just let me complete the questions, then you can have your comments.
Okay.
You are?
I am Malka Sharma from SD College, Jalandhar.
Okay, just save your question. Vinod has a simple question, sir. The editors don't reply in time. Is there any time to any way to bind them?
Yes. I think most of the publishers or the editor, now they are taking submission through online mode. So instead of writing email to the editor, you go to the author page and you create your login ID and profile in that publisher database, and you submit your research paper using that portal. So you can always keep track of your research paper, whether the editor have seen your research paper or not, and what is this stage of your paper which you have submitted in that portal. Now most of the reputed publishers, now they are following a total transparency as far as once you submit the paper up to its publication. So do not try to just email to the editor or publisher, try to use such portal, and you will track your submission, and definitely you will receive a reply within a time from the editor or from the reviewer.
Vishwavrat Gaurav sir has asked about the Scopus index journals in physical education.
Okay. So now let me explain you one thing. Like even in UGC care list, if you have created your profile in UGC care list, let me show you from here also, you can access the Scopus index journal or Web of Science index journals. If anyone has created a login ID in UGC care list, because I just forget the password, So if anyone, you have created login in UGC care list. Okay, let me show you how you can use this UGC care list in terms of finding the journals indexed by UGC, which are Scopus indexed or which are Web of Science indexed. Let me try. मनोज सर, मेरे पास टाइम है ना, मैंने ज्यादा टाइम तो नहीं ले लिया, जस्ट वांटेड टू शो.
बस क्वेश्चंस यहाँ एक दो सर, उसके बाद.
Okay, but let me explain you how you can use this UGC care list. So let me log in.
So till the technical things are being done, so I'm very thankful to all the participants. We have stayed.
Okay, sir,
Anji sir, please.
Sir, if there is some remaining questions are there, you can ask.
Madam from Madam जो question पूछ रहे थे, ma'am please. Was some madam from Jalandhar, you wanted to ask the question? Anybody who wants to add any comments?
Sir, can I please ask a question?
Yeah, ma'am.
Sure. Please.
Sir, actually, I have two questions. Pardon me for that, but the first question is, sir, like we have Turnitin software and various other softwares for checking plagiarism, but those
Right.
are generally available with universities and departments. Sir, is there any other software which we can use at our home, or like Turnitin only if it can be used at home, so that we can check it at home and then submit it?
Yeah, definitely, ma'am.
And
You can
secondly,
use.
sir, the other thing is, yes, sir, please, sorry.
Yeah, there are 4 or 5 tools available, which these are open access tool in terms of checking the plagiarism. And let me show you. I have a slide with me, so let me just give you the name of the software, which will help you in terms of. Okay, now is this slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can see from here there is one software is called PlagScan. These all are open.
No, sir. This is for your university care list. It's visible.
No. This I am talking about the open source tool which helps you in terms of checking the plagiarism.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are PlagScan, PaperRatter, Duplicate Checker, Plagium. You can just write down. These are the free tools which helps you in terms of checking the plagiarism if you don't have a subscription of Turnitin or Urcode. So these are PlagScan, CopyLeaks, Plagium, Plagiarism, or you can take the picture from your mobile so that you can explore these softwares later on. Is it okay, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Madam Alka from Jalandhar wanted to ask.
Yes,
Ma'am has another
good evening,
question.
sir.
Please. Please.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. My question is how to differentiate. We know plagiarism is bad. It is to be avoided because it is like an offense. But how will we differentiate between similarity and plagiarism? How similarity is to be differentiated?
Okay, ma'am, similarity, when you check your research paper using any anti-plagiarism tool, so that tool basically check your paper with their index paper and show you the overall similarity. Similarity means the software is telling you that there are some portion of your research paper which the software has found similar with the already published literature. It never says that your research paper is plagiarized. It says your research paper is similar with already published material. So this is a similarity. And what is plagiarism is? Plagiarism means if you have taken some idea or if you have borrowed some text from already published source and you are not giving credit to that particular person.
Okay.
So if you are doing so, that is basically a plagiarism. But if you are given a proper reference in the form of in-text citation, and you have given the complete bibliographical detail, and you have followed the complete citation style, that is not plagiarism. And if it is showing similarity, you can always modify it or paraphrase that particular portion.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Dr. Neeraj, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Dr. Gurvinder here. ये जो अभी आपने आइडिया की बात की, कई बार एक दो बार ऐसा भी हुआ है कि आपने जो सजेशन दी या कंक्लूजन निकाला, maybe somebody has already given it in a particular context. ना आपने वो चोरी नहीं करा, लेकिन ऑब्वियस है कि दो लोगों ने कुछ सिमिलर सोचा भी हो सकता है, तो अब उस सिचुएशन में कैसे डील करेंगे? थैंक यू
मैम। इसमें देखिए, व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ रेफरेंस एंड द एक्नॉलेजमेंट. रेफरेंस मींस इफ यू हैव रेफर्ड the total number of papers while writing your research paper. So for example, if you have taken something, from some paper, in that case you will give the reference. But you have just taken the idea and you have not taken any text from that research paper. In this case, what you can do is you can always give credit to that paper in the acknowledgement part. So you can always say, these are the papers which I have just seen, which I have just taken for the idea, but I have not taken any text or anything from that paper, and I wanted to acknowledge such paper. So if you are giving credit to that particular paper from you have just taken the idea in your acknowledgement section, so in this way you can avoid this issue of plagiarism and all this thing. And one more thing, if your research paper is from any funding agencies, in that case you have to also give acknowledgement to that funding agencies which have funded you for doing your research.
Okay, Dr. Neeraj, I want to ask you one question. This is Rajesh Sharma from VGGC 11. सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि जैसे हम पेपर लिखते हैं तो उसमें कई बार पैक नंबर या पैक सिस्टम की जरूरत पड़ती है. किस चीज की सर? फिजिक्स के पेपर्स या साइंस के पेपर जब हम लिखते हैं तो उसमें टैग सिस्टम की जरूरत पड़ती है. जी. तो उसकी जानकारी हमें कैसे मिलेगी डिटेल में, जैसे कि मेरा पेपर किस कीवर्ड के अनुसार किस में जाना चाहिए?
थोड़ा सा सर और मुझे एक्सप्लेन करेंगे ताकि मुझे सर
मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि देयर इज अ पैक सिस्टम, देयर इज फिजिक्स एंड एस्ट्रोनॉमिकल क्लासिफिकेशन सिस्टम. ओके. सो आज मैं उसके बारे में जिक्र कर रहा था कि वो हम कैसे पता करेंगे कि हमारा पेपर किस क्लासिफिकेशन में जाना चाहिए.
ओके. सो सर इसको जो है ना, जनरली वी कैन टेक द हेल्प फ्रॉम एनी ontology databases, or we can take any help from the subject classification scheme. तो subject classification scheme में जनरली क्या होता है कि वो क्या करते हैं कि एक ब्रॉड एरिया लेते हैं, उस ब्रॉड एरिया को जस्ट लाइक जैसा हम एक ट्री नहीं प्लांट करते, उस ब्रॉड एरिया के अंदर कितने सब पार्ट हैं, उस पार्ट के अंदर फर्दर कितने सब पार्ट हैं, और उसके अंदर कितनी उनकी डिटेल मैपिंग हुई है. So for example, if you are following any classification scheme, like in the case of this physics and astronomy, they have a thesaurus, there's an online classification scheme, and let me show you.
So in the meantime, I'll inform the participants. एक इसमें feedback form आया हुआ है. Please fill that. That will help us to generate your certificates.
Let me.
इस पे आया हुआ है.
Yeah, in the meeting chat.
Okay.
So I think इसी पैक्स के बारे में बात कर रहे थे आप, PACS.
जी.
अब सर यहाँ पे आप देखोगे कि उन्होंने क्या किया हुआ है, जितना भी सब्जेक्ट एरियाज हैं, अकॉर्डिंग टू डिफरेंट फील्ड्स इन द फील्ड ऑफ फिजिक्स एंड एस्ट्रोनॉमी, आप उस पर्टिकुलर फील्ड में जब जाके क्लिक करेंगे तो यू विल फाइंड देयर आर वेरियस सब कैटेगरीज अंडर फिजिक्स एंड एस्ट्रोनॉमी, और उसके अंदर डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट कैटेगरीज हैं, एंड दैट विल हेल्प यू इन टर्म्स ऑफ नोइंग व्हाट will be the relevant keyword for your research paper. So I will tell you, please explore this website, and this website will definitely help you in terms of identifying the significant words for your research paper on any area in the field of physics. And I will also share you some online tools which will help you in this direction.
Okay, thank you very much. One more question, sir.
सर
एक चीज और कहना चाहता था, बहुत अच्छा आपका प्रेजेंटेशन रहा, लेकिन हम थोड़ा लेटेक के बारे में जानना पसंद करेंगे।
जी
पेपर फॉर्मेटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर।
यस सर, लेटेक जो है इट्स अगेन अ वेरी गुड सॉफ्टवेयर, बट अब उसमें क्या होता है कि जैसे मान लो देयर आर सम पब्लिशर्स, वो क्या करते हैं, दे accept the paper if your paper is formatted about in the LaTeX software. Now LaTeX softwares, they have some inbuilt template. For example, if you wanted to publish your research paper in an IEEE journal, so in case mein what you can do is whatever templates are available in LaTeX, you just select the template and you start writing your paper in that particular format only. So इस केस में वो आपको हेल्प क्या करेगा कि अब आपको उस जर्नल की गाइडलाइंस वगैरह देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. If you are using this LaTeX software, automatically your research paper will be formatted and structured as per their that particular publisher style. So there are very good videos are available and they are very easy to understand how this software basically works. So I will suggest you, sir, if you follow any video which are available on YouTube, it will give you more clarity about using this LaTeX software for writing your research paper.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
So big.
Sir, just one question.
Yeah.
Sir, sorry, Manoj sir, just one question. Sorry, sir.
Yes.
Sir, this has actually happened with me once that as per the list, we selected a journal and I gave my paper for it, and we also saw who are the reviewers of it, who are in the editorial board. Generally, it includes both national and international faculties. So, but the problem is, as soon as the list came out of the UGC CARE, the journal was out of it. Again, when the list was revised, sometimes we get a new journal, we put in it, it's again out. So, apart from web science and Scopus, are we supposed to trust any other journal also, or shall we just rely on Web of Science and Scopus only, leave all others?
Okay. Now let me explain you in 2 minutes about what is basically this UGC CARE list is. So here you can see the UGC has categorized all the journals in a 3-tier system. So the first tier system, all the Scopus index journals, right, and the Web of Science index journals, you will find, like for example, let me explain you. So when you logged in through this UGC CARE list, so from here, when you click on this Scopus source list, so it will give you free access of all the Scopus index journals. So from here, you can see there are 41,154 journals indexed by the Scopus. Now, if you wanted to see what are the journals which are available in the field of, let's say, for example, education. So you just type education, select the education under the social science, click on this apply. So it will give you all the journals which are being indexed by the Scopus in the field of education, and here you will find this journal. So whatever journals they are indexed in the Scopus, they are by default part of this UGC CARE list. So Scopus journals list you can access from here, and the same Web of Science list you can access from here also. Like list of journals removed from the group 2 indexed in the Scopus database. And here UGC is also, because there are few journals which are basically a fake journals, and even Scopus has indexed such journals. So UGC has again reviewed these journals, and in this database they have clearly mentioned that these are the journals which we have removed from the Scopus database. So if you will publish your research paper in this journal, your paper will not be counted. Similarly, you will find all the Web of Science journals listed in the UGC website from here. So this is about the category 1 and 2. From here, the list 1, group 1 and group 2. Now, there are many other journals which are not part of either Scopus or Scopus index journals. So for such type of journals, there is another category, it's called third category of UGC CARE list. And here you can select any journal. So for example, if any publisher is claiming that our journal is a UGC CARE list journal, I will request you, please log into this account, enter the ISSN number of that particular journal, and check whether that journal is a UGC CARE index journal or not. So if this website is not showing name of that particular journal, never publish your research paper in that particular journal. You know, if that journal is not available, it will clearly show that this journal is not indexed. So this is the way through which you can always cross-check whether the journal is Scopus indexed or UGC indexed, not or not. And one more thing, like for example, there is a one journal which is indexed by UGC CARE list, and I have published my paper when it was indexed, and later on UGC has removed that journals. So whenever you will claim for API, you always support, you can always, you know, attach the screenshot of this UGC CARE website where it was showing that on June 2020 that journal was in the list, but later on it was removed. So in the university also, when you apply for the promotion, and if you have published your article and at that time that journal was indexed by UGC, you will get point, no matter if, you know, that journal was removed by the UGC later on. So you, whatever publications you are publishing, and if you found that your journal is indexed in UGC list, what you can do is always take a screenshot of this website and keep it to your folder. So whenever there is a need, you can always attach the screenshot of the UGC website.
So that is wonderful presence. Sir,
one question, please.
Okay,
sir?
Very quickly.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir?
Yes,
सर समटाइम इट हैपेंस कि ओपन एक्सेस प्लेजरिज्म चेकर में जब हम अपना काम चेक करते हैं तो वो उनके डाटाबेस में स्टोर हो जाता है। तो क्या जो आपने अभी ओपन एक्सेस हमें बताए हैं उनमें भी ये इशू है?
मैम बिल्कुल ठीक आपने कहा। इस केस में what you can do is, like for example, I've recommended one software called CopyLeaks. So what you can do is, before submitting your paper, just go to the CopyLeaks website and see the instructor for the submission. So if they are saying that whatever document you will upload, it will become part of their repository, so never try to use this software. So I'm not sure whatever tools I have suggested you, all they are, you know, taking your paper into their repository or not, but you can always check in their website. They have clearly mentioned whether your paper will become part of their repository or not. So I will, name a few journals or few software, and I will email to Manoj sir where your paper will not become part of their repository, so that you can use such tools for checking the similarity.
Thank you so much, sir.
For the benefit of all the participants, we have already uploaded the recording of the earlier webinar. And if technical things, Ashok Kumar ji, our friend, permits, we will have a recording and upload on the channel. And whatever material Neeraj sir gives, pass on to all the participants. So, sir, actually, questions are there, a few, but as per the time and other things, I'll avoid the questions right now. But Neeraj sir is always available, Manoj sir is always available. We all are available. Any questions, you can just send to me, and I'll forward to Neeraj sir, and we will have all the. I have requested Meenakshi to post on the feedback again, so please fill for your purpose. Otherwise, thanks a lot to all research scholars, all teachers from private colleges, from the government colleges, my president, my executive committee, and especially to Neeraj sir for being part with us. And sir, I have received so many comments in the chat box that it has cleared all the doubts, and all the people are. I hope you will be with us whenever we need you. These words, I thank you all, and as well as the participants. Over to my president, sir. Harpreet ji hain?
Yes, I'm very well here. A very big thank you to Neeraj. This has been a brotherly, contribution always, and we really appreciate. And almost all of us have gained a lot from this particular webinar, and it will go a long way in addressing our core issues. So I wish all the participants very happy researching time, academic time. May God give us more benefit and time and peace to do a lot of good research. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having